Isn't that a fantastic theme song? I know it works for me. Welcome back to the sixth installment of Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I, of course, as always, am Chat Show. You know, I just literally flew in. It's the old joke from 1941. I just flew in. My arms are tired. Lovely week in New York. I want to thank everyone for all their help in that great city. And bullshit with the never sleeps thing. Not buying that. Lots of sleeping going on. Oh, wait, just me. You know, I will speak first to The Guys and the Dolls, this Broadway musical that I attended in the fine Broadway. A fantastic production. Lots of bells and whistles that were very nice with the eye candy. Craig Bierko, as far as your Sky Masterson goes, he's it. He's the new it. He's the it. Brando, suck it. Yeah, Craig Bierko was a revelation. Lauren Graham, fantastic, a delight. Oliver Platt, it got creepy, didn't it? Ollie, who I love in everything he does, I have no clue what he's doing in this production. If it's supposed to be a half drunk, half asleep, Nathan Detroit, something ain't right, buddy. It was a Tuesday night, I'll give you that much, and maybe you save it for Wednesday. All I can tell you is I love you madly, and you know that, but just keep your eyes open half the show would be A through C. It really was a great production, though. I also want to thank my friend Hank Azaria for the loft that Mo built, which is where Jamie and I stayed while in New York, or the loft that Apu built, depending on who. I would go with Wiggum. It's a sick locale and fantastic accommodations, and I thank you wildly for that, sir. Now, turning to a moment of reverence, not sadness, is the passing of B. Arthur. Hilarious, always funny, and a handsome man, let's be honest. Too soon? Never. Never. So let's sing it together, shall we? There goes Maud. Come on. There goes Maud. And there goes Maud. Even though it's week 6, I'm still not so proud that I won't say it. We ain't ready. We had some other notes about B, but I think I hit the ball pretty deep already. So I think I'm done with that well. Yeah. Eats in New York, always a great pastime when visiting for a quick 6 days. Where are we going to eat? The Fox family have passed along this tradition now that I am completely sucked into, which is while you're eating lunch, you're talking about what you're having for dinner. It's every meal, you talk about what the next meal is. You don't even enjoy the meal you're having. You're just already, first time at the Shake Shack. I know. Are you shitting me? This place is an institution, been there forever. It's just a real simple burger, and it's right in the middle of a park. I'm going to say Madison, possibly, Madison Park. Never heard of it. Shake Shack was really great, and only a half-hour line, which I felt was very short from all the tweets I was getting saying, yeah, I like it too, but the 45-minute wait in line. So yeah, that was great. And dear pal Bobby Flay, with your Mesa Grill and your Bar American, you win once again. It's crazy. Flay, spices, and rubs, oh my. I had, oh, serendipity, yeah. I mean, these are a little cliche now that I've hit the serendipity. But Jesus, I'm going to be on a very serious diet for the next 6 weeks before I travel to the south of France, where I'm forced to wear a Speedo, apparently, the entire time. And that's not going to be pretty. Even if I were at my fighting weight, not pretty. And since I flew commercial, I have a cold. Thanks for that. Virgin America, love you. Cold, not so much. They're like soaring Petri dishes, aren't they, the commercial airlines? Yeah. Larry King game. You know, I set up a contest a while back for those following the live chat room. We're taking your questions, of course, in the chat room as well as twitter.com. They're working feverishly, my crew, trying to pass along these tweets and chats, which will fix the chat room during the clips. I have a new little board in the room. There's some upgrades. It's so ridiculous. Let's do this again, shall we? All right. I have two very exciting guests. I should probably mention who they are now in case you're wondering if you should stay. I was turned on to this TV show like so many of you through a friend or what have you, or through some review. This is one of those shows that the reviewers kind of spit up a little bit on themselves, trying to be the first to lay claim to, I just found the best show ever. I'm speaking, of course, of Mad Men, and Mr. Don Draper himself, Jon Hamm, will be sitting across from me in just a few minutes. Ladies, you want to take a knee? Go ahead. Fellas, take a knee? Go ahead. And then we have a gentleman who is co-owner of the internet. Alex Albrecht is his name, and you know him from Dignation, of course, and the Totally Rad Show, and so many other things, which we'll talk about when he's out here. Today's show, a first for me. I met both of my guests in person for the first time today. Hasn't been that way. I've known everyone, except for Elon Musk. Did not know him, Mr. Tesla Motors. And we saw how that went, didn't we? I'm going to get me the damn Peabody from that Tesla Motors interview. Yeah, feel free to fix that chat room any chance you get. That'd be swell. While I was in New York, of course, I did not run into Woody Allen as hard as I tried, as desperately as I, made efforts to get tickets to his premiere starring Larry David, a film that we're all greatly looking forward to. But, barring filleting the man, I fell a little shy of that particular golden ticket. And so I'd like to thank everyone who tried and said that they would come through. And, of course, prison rape. Thanks. It was fantastic on that end, without sounding a bit didactic or pedantic. What else happened in New York? I thought a couple of other swinging things happened. They'll come back to me during the show. So the Larry King game, as I mentioned, we have this contest going. I've explained it to my guests. We have a couple of winners on the Larry King game, which I'm very excited about. So I'm going to share one with you now as yet another example of how this game works. There are free prizes, available to you should you be chosen to participate in the game. For example, the theme song at the top of the show. That was from a contest winner. I would like to put it out there that we need more of you submitting 30-second musical compositions for our theme, opening theme. Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird, isn't it? But they go for 20 bucks. You could sell it on eBay for $5 guaranteed. That's hard cash. And these are hard times. That's the CD, the live stand-up of a little something I call. So, you get that if you write the theme, which 2 people thus far have been chosen, and you get that if you come through with the Larry King game. For example, at Dr. Concussion, that's his twitter.com handle, at Dr. Concussion, came up with this beaut. Remember the rules. Bad Larry King impression, reveal something about yourself on the air, go to the phone's name of the city, should be funny sounding if possible. I haven't had a fulfilling BM since 1986. Bucks, North Tennessee, you're on. I'm going to take a knee. That was funny, and and I enjoy that very much. Thank you. So the more that you write in, the more attempts you make. Where's that damn floor camera when I need it? Did we catch LeVar Burton in our first show crawling across the floor? I think he was in the behind-the-scenes footage, but Sam Levine, who's here, of course. Do we have the audience cam handy? we have our little studio audience, and Sam, of course, bringing up the, there's at Jamie_Fox. Oh, yeah, everybody's, oh, there's Jon Hamm. Such a, well, I'll go ahead and say it, Hamm. There you have it. Sammy, you were here when LeVar Burton crawled across the floor. You're not Mike, so I won't ask you to respond other than your memory of it.
Not only did he do it, I followed.
Oh, that's right. But you'll see Sammy next in Quentin Tarantino's war movie where he'll do the army crawl on screen. Inglourious Bastards, which also debuts at the Cannes Film Festival. All right, so I've plugged everything, I've mentioned everything. I think we're getting close to introducing our first guest. Did I mention Oliver Platt? In The Guys and Dolls? He's a big man. He could put me out with a look, really. He could put me to sleep with just a tap. This is not a challenge of any kind. And I reiterate, huge fan of his huge, huge talent. And I talked to a few other people who saw the show. And they said, surprisingly, what the fuck was Oliver Platt doing? All right. I couldn't even hold that one. I let you down. I'm sorry. All right, we have an interesting, as I said, show because I hadn't met either of my guests until about an hour ago, and so I'm extremely grateful that they're both here because now the show is starting to expand out to after our sixth show. We finally got some people on that I don't know, and they're over my house every week. So that's an exciting moment in time for me. But as I mentioned before, this is one of those shows where I've been a part of very few film productions that people slowly found out about, and when they did, laid some sort of claim to. There's like a team pride of the viewerships, and it's one of those things that I'm sure the TiVo numbers and the DVR numbers are 10,000 times sicker than any of the live numbers could possibly be, because it's one of these things that I discovered, I think, first on the DVD. No, that was the second season I got on DVD, that's right. Hello. Guess what's working? All right, I'm what?
Well,
Yeah.
that answered my question.
Yeah, that definitely answered your question. It's working. And I've turned off my sound, too. So I discovered the show like so many of you have and thought, well, as a creative person, my first thought wasn't terribly healthy, which was, shit, why didn't I think of that? That's what creative people do. And then I just went back to being a fan again. And I was unbelievably sort of thrilled to meet some of his friends who sort of shared a little bit of his life and where he had been prior to this. Because, you know, anytime someone is discovered, everybody wants to know, well, where have you been? All right, in his case, tall drink of water would be the rest of that sentence. But I didn't care so much about that. But I'm utterly fascinated and greatly look forward to talking to him and also about being at the Golden Globes. And you know, I've only been in the Golden Globes once, and it was at somebody's behest. All right, Matthew Perry. Did I drop that? Let me get that. Got it. And we ended up leaving about an hour into it and went upstairs to the hotel room and watched the rest of the Raiders playoff football game. That's how exciting the Golden Globes were for me. It's a party, there's booze, you'll love it. Yeah. My feeling about the award shows is if you're nominated or you're presenting, then it's nervous or exciting. If you're there bearing witness, pack a lunch. It's just not as much fun as it is sitting at home with your friends making fun of it. So please, if you'll join me, John, let's begin this particular portion of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, at home, please welcome my first guest, Mr. Jon Hamm. There we go.
Hello.
I went with the, hi there, sir. I went with the surprise attack. I felt that you had been sort of lulled into a peaceful place, sitting there watching, and I thought I would just...
I'm here.
Yeah, great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed that particular mug or not.
Wabasha. Minnesota, home of grumpy old men.
Right.
It doesn't say home of the film Grumpy Old Men.
No.
It's just where grumpy old men live.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They gather in that one neck of the woods.
It's like Sturgis for old people.
Right? Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, you actually hit the nail right on the head, is what you went ahead and did there. Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, we have actually met before.
Son of a bitch!
Do you know this? This is the kind of impression I make on people. Is that years after we meet, they don't remember me. But we have a friend in common. We have Tommy Hinckley in common.
Oh, my God.
And so we played golf at the 9-hole pitch and putt place. in the
Jesus, we
Valley.
did. What's it?
What's it?
Oh, my God. That was you.
That was me.
Well, that's not embarrassing or ridiculous. You were the best golfer of the day, as I weigh, and I was the one slowing everybody down.
No, you were doing material. It was fun. It was great. We had fun. I think we had a little lunch.
Did I? Yes, that's right.
So it was nice. That place is never not fun.
I know, it's
too.
true.
It's like a nice
Yeah.
hour and a half.
Yeah, no
Get a
pressure.
little sandwich at the end of the thing.
Yeah, a beer, God forbid.
It's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, it is.
When it's not 130 degrees.
Well, that's just it. In fact, maybe if we go tomorrow, we'll have a good round.
I don't mind.
All right, good. Yeah, so God damn it, you've trumped me already with that story. We met, and I
like to set the bar really low.
yeah. Well, that's okay. It's where it belongs on this particular show. So now, when we met, which is now we're talking 4 years ago,
Something like that.
5 years
Yeah,
ago.
It was well before Mad Men.
Yeah.
And it was when Tommy was still living here, so it was quite a few years ago now.
Right. So at that point, you were in your I've done 19 pilot phase.
Yeah, and guest starred on every show that's out there, and was sort of. I mean, it was fully a weekday, and I had plenty of time to play golf in the Valley. So it should give you some sort of idea of my employment status at that point. So.
Right. But I was fascinated. Paget Brewster was here last week, the lovely and talented and hilarious.
Very much so. Yes.
Right. And we were talking about the George Clooney factor of doing 15 failed pilots before ER. And she suggested you had done a handful yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, we all
Paget and I had worked together on a pilot.
That's
actually,
obviously what she was hinting at.
Yeah, a lot. And it's such a crazy, as you well know, just a crazy game anyway. And they throw all these up in the air, and if whatever happens to stick sticks. And in the season I actually got Mad Men, I had auditioned for something like 7 or 8 pilots, tested for, which is the people that don't know, the end audition,
right, and
failed 7 times. And then when Mad Men came across, I read the script and looked at it, and it said AMC, and I just thought this is some kind of joke.
Right.
They're not a network. They don't make television.
They show movies.
They show movies.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. But then I actually read the script and realized Matt had come from The Sopranos and had sort of gotten the sense that they really wanted to do something with this and make it something. And the pilot script is really exceptional.
Yeah.
And I only had to audition 7 or 8 more times, and then
is that what it
fly
was?
across the country a few times. Yeah.
Let's just slow it down for a moment right there, if we can, because this is a part that I have found some of the fun that's possible with this kind of show is the setbacks and the disappointments and those things. But the process of actually getting a job has changed so much through the years in television. And I found nobody wants to have the finger pointed at them. I didn't say yes, kind of thing.
Right.
So you had to literally have how many callbacks?
Well, I started. I mean, there's this curious term that they use called a pre-read.
All right.
Where you read before you read.
Nice.
And it's only so you meet the casting directors. I didn't know the casting directors. I've been in LA for, at this point, probably now going on 15 years, but at that point, 12 or 13 years. And I know a lot of the casting directors, but these people were out of New York.
Oh boy.
So they were coming here and they didn't know anybody. Well, they didn't know me. And so I had to drive. I live in Los Feliz. I had to drive all the way to Santa Monica on a Friday at 4 o'clock or something ridiculous like that in the rain to meet the casting director in the very first one of these auditions. And that turned into meeting the other casting director, which was another drive out, and then meeting Matt, which was another drive out, and then meeting the director, which was another drive out. And it was just, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And by the time I actually got the the part, I'm pretty sure this is true. I had performed every word in the script at one point or another.
Oh my
So every
God.
scene, you know, walk and talks, you know, sitting at the desk, everything. And so
Can you see, can we just take a look, John, of what it is you do when you do that slow burn? It's an act break. We just want to see what you do with that. Is it that sort of thing?
I don't know. I mean,
mean-
it was as you said, you have to convince everybody.
Yeah.
So far beyond the shadow of a doubt, and this was a new network that was getting into original programming for the first time.
This is going to brand them.
And they, you know, the conventional wisdom says, well, you hang this on a big movie star, you hang this on a big TV star, you hang this on somebody.
Yeah.
And somebody, I think, convinced them that, well, maybe there's another way to do it, and maybe it's somebody that just everybody is on board with, and we turn those people into our stars.
Right.
And I think that fortunately that won out.
Kind of worked with The Sopranos.
Honestly, yeah, it worked with Sopranos as well. But they took a big chance on their other show with Breaking Bad with Bryan
Yes.
Cranston, it's a phenomenal show. I really love the show, but he's wonderful in it. And this is a guy who couldn't get arrested in serious stuff,
Right.
Because he was
So
the
silly.
crazy dad on
Right.
Malcolm in the Middle, and that's how he was known as. And now he's completely changed that. He's a really wonderful actor and a great guy.
Yeah.
So it's to their credit, but it was a long and every step of the way, it just takes one guy going like, eh,
Yeah.
and then you're done.
Yep.
So you could go 5 and be out, 6 and be out.
Right.
So it's
It's such a fluke. I literally
getting a job is a fluke.
It's turned
It really
into a
is.
lottery.
It really is.
Getting the job, its own fluke. Getting on the air, past the pilot stage, a whole other series
Right.
of flukes. Then, actually sticking and finding a home and relaxing the network sphincter to let you stay and find
around.
your audience.
And whatever that magic number is of,
Right.
of success, and our our number is quite low. But as you said in the introduction, like what the new kind of idea is that there's people time shifting and watching on their computer or watching on their DVR or watching on DVD.
Yeah.
And so the profile of the show is actually significantly greater than. And there's some formula that they use. It's significantly greater than the actual first run numbers.
Right.
But you know, it's crazy. And you use the example of Clooney, and there's a guy he's clearly a very talented actor and a very talented guy, and yet time after time after time he's in these pilots that just don't go anywhere.
They don't go anywhere, and people, you may not realize this, literally, I think it was something like 12 pilots he had started. Because there was a point where I was going to do a movie called Indian Summer. Thank you both for seeing it. And, but it gave me a chance to work with Alan Arkin, and I'll never forget that. Because that was a magical day. It's not important. I'll tell you about it some other time. But there was, at that moment where I was going to do that movie or this pilot with George Clooney, and it was one of those things, well, familiarize me with who this Clooney guy is. Literally, you know, in retrospect, there's no way to put that into any context that makes sense to anyone.
Right. You just have to go through it, and it's
Yeah.
It's
It's daunting.
It is daunting, and all they make you sign your life away before you go in for the tests on these things, and so you're presented with how much money you will make if you you get this. And, and so you're in there and you're just like freaking out. And I mean, when I came out here, I drove my car that I had since I was in college, and it basically I made it over the Rockies and sort of coasted here.
Before it died?
Before it died. It is now wholly owned by the city of Los Angeles.
Is that right?
Unpaid parking tickets. So, but I had no money. I was living off couch change and the 2 or 3 times a week that I'd cater, and you look at these numbers and you think, oh, geez, this is just gonna change my life.
Well,
and then you don't get it and you're like devastated.
Yeah.
But it's.
Yeah, you have to go through the whole process before you have the job, before you can test for the job, before the network decides whether they're going to choose you or not. You have to negotiate the deal. It's the weirdest ass backwards thing in the world.
It is ridiculous.
And it wasn't until I got on the other side of it as a producer and we're auditioning people that I started to understand even a smidgen of why you would want that negotiation.
You want all the leverage.
You want all the leverage. There's no question about it. And when with your football, you care about the creative aspect and you care about this magical chemistry that's somehow going to happen. And in the meantime, I didn't even want to be bothered with these negotiations.
Right.
I would just say, make the deal. Whatever, just make the deal. We want him,
what happens when you
her.
don't have that deal when they walk in the room is everybody falls in love, and then the guy hears everybody falls in love, and they charge
Right.
3 times as much.
Yeah.
And so that, they don't want any of those.
They can't let that
all
happen.
Needs to be tied
So as
up.
actors, you're sitting there with your contract and you're saying, look how close I am to being employed.
Yes.
This is my contract. I have to go in that
Do they
room
give me a check when I leave?
and mail it, right?
Yeah, because that would be great.
Yeah. They don't even give
I
you
have
a
a
thumbs
lot of
up.
parking tickets.
Yeah. They don't even give you a thumbs up when you leave. No, they can't. They can't tell you
The
things.
coldest rooms.
Oh,
the
yeah.
worst setups.
I had, did you ever get wind of this Morton and Hayes TV pilot that Rob Reiner and Christopher Guest created? It was a comedy team in the 1930s.
Yeah. I heard about this.
Well, they put 2 of us in a room, and you had to work out this choreographed 1930s comedy with the hitting and the fast talking, right? It was absolutely choreographed like a dance. So I myself and 5 other actors went in front of the network. And in one case, it was me and Nathan Lane. And you have to depend on your scene partner more than ever in a situation like this. 3 minutes into our 6-minute scene in front of the CBS network where they sit in that dark theater.
Big theater, right? The basement.
Oh, God. 3 minutes into our 6 minutes, crickets, nothing. We're not getting even a smile, if you could see their faces.
Maybe Nathan starts to improvise a little.
What do you think happened?
Yeah.
Nathan steps out of the scene and looks at the audience in the darkness and says, "This is going well, huh?" Hilarious. Greatly funny for everyone but his scene partner. I wanted to kill him. I don't know if it's an irony, but I got the part and he didn't. It's not important. Not important.
There you go. It's the only good way that story could be.
You kind of saw it coming, didn't you? How was your beverage? I should be a little, here's what we did. We thought this was funny.
Hey!
We thought this was funny.
Absolutely.
It's just water. We thought it was funny.
Sure it is.
And that's just the kind of show we have. We have, look, it's the tastiest damn water, though.
Cold, though.
I think you're going to like that
man.
part of it, yeah. Let's talk for a moment. Well, actually, since we talk so very much about how you got the job, for the 17 people who haven't seen the show, let's give them a taste by running a clip if we can. This is hopefully not an embarrassing moment for anyone, but it was from last season. It was a turning point, and Jamie, one of our producers, suggested this was the definitive
I'll be the judge of that.
Draper moment.
All right.
So let's roll that, please. I'm sorry to say we could not get clearance on that particular clip or any others that we've ever shown on the show. Let's just discuss that ridiculously difficult day's work.
You know, a lot of people have the wrong idea about what happened there.
Okay, please.
What actually happened was, you don't see the scene previous, but there's a big dinner scene.
Yeah, there is.
And Melinda's character, Bobby Barrett, had spilled something on her dress.
I see.
And what I'm actually doing
As a gentleman.
is cleaning off the spot that she had spilled. So a lot of people got the wrong. I guess we played it differently or something, but a lot
Where's
of people
my
I think, got the
pen?
wrong
Cleaning off
idea.
the spot. That's a hell of a way of putting that. I was cleaning off the spot.
Honey, I was just cleaning off the spot.
Yeah. We have a...
No, that's directly from the mind of our show creator, Matt Weiner. Remember, he had pitched to me that sort of idea, and I was like, "Really? Okay? Well, it's your show, pal.
Right.
Here we go." And that has been quite discussed and talked about. You know, it's a choice, and it gets the job done. So.
Well, yeah, it's a very strong choice, and that's one of the things I like about the show, is its boldness and daringness, but also its ability to surprise, quite frankly.
It is, you know, Don is a curious character in the sense of, and it's. I hope it's not presumptuous to make the comparison to Tony Soprano, but since we shared DNA with that show,
Right.
David Chase used to talk about Tony Soprano and saying, like, you're not supposed to like this guy. You know, he is a murderer. But people, for whatever reason, are sort of used to root for Tony Soprano, and then
Right.
you realize he would do these horrible things,
Right.
just terrible, you know, unconscionable things,
Right.
and you'd sort of be shocked into realizing, oh yeah, this guy isn't a hero. And I think a little bit of what we were trying to establish, especially in the second season, is Don's going through a sort of continuing existential sort of crisis, and he's trying to figure out where he is and what he's going on. And he's not a good guy all the time. In fact, he's not a good guy most of the time.
Yeah.
And,
well, that's one of the things, quite frankly, that is not only interesting as a viewer, but is magical when doing a television series, because so much of the network shows have, for so long, there's the antagonist and the protagonist, and never shall they meet. And well, why not?
We've had, I think the first show to sort of do that really successfully was probably The Shield.
Right.
And when he won the Emmy or the Golden Globe or whatever it was for that, and people were like, "Wait a minute, wait, what? It's on basic cable. It's not a good show." And it had that kind of stink of, well, it's a network cast off. These aren't actual television shows. And people started realizing, like, they're not. They're better.
Yeah.
And HBO really kind of carried the torch with that as well, and put some of the coolest stuff on the air. And I think that's what we're trying to do too, is just say, like, look, it's not CSI where everything is wrapped up by the end of an episode.
Thank God.
Everything is, they'll always figure it out. They're fallible. They're wrong. They're on the wrong side of history a lot. They back the wrong horse a lot.
I love that.
And they make curious decisions and are on the wrong side of sexual politics quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, being the period piece that it is.
And it stays true to the period and true to the characters, and I think that's one of the big things about it, and a lot of people bring it up when they talk about the show, was all the smoking. And Matt had gone on record, had this been on a network, there would be no smoking. Mm-hmm. Or it would be cigarettes burning in ashtrays, and you never actually see the function of people smoking. Yeah. And Matt was like, "I'm not interested in making that show. That show doesn't exist. A show, an office drama, or a drama that's set in 1960 or 1962, as the second season is, that doesn't have anybody smoking in it, might as well be on the moon.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
And so
I think people appreciate the fact that the show doesn't sort of slap them in the face with crap.
Yeah, I mean, just sort of, and a lot of people think that we go overboard with, the doctor's smoking and the thing. It's like, well, they did.
That's the perfect
example.
They did. If you ask me, that's the point that I always use, which is the doctor smoked. You smoked in church. 4
out of 5 doctors say that Carlton is the right cigarette. I mean, that was literally what the advertisements were.
Right. Well, let's talk about that for a moment, because I do love also the aspect of the show, a time in American history when the ad agencies and the advent of television were deciding for Americans what they thought, not just what they smoked and what they ate and who they flew, but actually what they thought. It's remarkable that the show tells that side of the story too, and not just a soap opera, which these shows at some point have to be in order to.
Right.
Yeah, but the fact that you fall into the Nixon campaign, all of that stuff.
And this was the reason Matt decided to set it in 1960 was it was sort of the precipice between the Eisenhower era and the Kennedy era.
Absolutely.
And the sort of World War II generation, and then the baby boom generation. And it was right on the sort of cusp of all of this change that was going to happen. And what happens to the other half of the country that's on the other side of that. And the fact that we made it right around, sort of Bush Gore, Bush Kerry, there were a lot of parallels to Nixon versus Kennedy, and that fully half the country was totally convinced that the other half was completely full of shit.
Yeah.
And utterly wrong.
Yeah.
And in 1960, our side won, and in 2000, the bad guys won. I mean, depending upon your political bent. Right. But so you're right in saying that this was kind of the first time that mass media was really focused on telling people or shaping images.
Right.
And we call it branding now, but sort of putting out an image of what this person is, regardless of the facts.
Yeah.
So Kennedy was presented as this youthful, bright, intelligent, funny, handsome sort of image, and then contrasted with that was Richard Nixon, who's this sort of dark and sweaty and political maneuvering, and all of that was on both sides, but Nixon wasn't telegenic, and that swung the election.
Yeah.
You know, it was a very, very close election.
Oh boy, was it! And in fact, the twisted irony for me that's so enjoyable between the '60 and 2000 is both were basically bought by Daddy.
Sure.
And the first time we celebrated, the second time we're very pissed off
Yeah.
about. You know. Well, let's talk about how ridiculously surprising it was for a lot of your fans when you went on Saturday Night Live that you could be unexplainably funny, but also do James Mason. Let's just so first of all, when that call comes, we'd like you to host Saturday Night Live. Let's talk about that moment.
It was interesting. I was in New York, and my agent had come up to me and said, I have amazing news. And I was like, lay it on me.
That's
What do
your
you
job.
got?
What do you
That's
got?
great. They want you to host Saturday Night Live. I was like, that is amazing news.
Yeah.
When?
Yeah.
This date. I said, I'm out of the country. My girlfriend and I had planned a trip to Greece.
That's how you get a job.
Some friends of ours. Exactly, I know. With some friends, we had planned this for months and months. It was right after the show ended, and we were gonna head out for like a 2-week, full-on, beautiful vacation on an island in the middle of nowhere, just to sort of decompress. I said, I can't do it. I can't. I'd love to. Tell them I would love to, but I can't.
Yeah.
And then I thought, fuck, never gonna come back around. Like, that is never gonna come back around.
Honey, is there any way we can delay it?
2 weeks later, they called back and said, what about this date? And I said, you got it. That's amazing.
Oh, even more magical.
Yeah, so I had been a major fan of Saturday Night Live since I was a little kid.
So who was the first cast member on that show that sort of caught your eye, your sense of humor?
All of them.
Right.
I mean, I just remember my dad and I. My dad would take me. My mother and father got divorced when I was very young.
Right.
And so I would be at my dad's every other weekend.
Right.
And watching that show, we would inevitably be at some party because it was Saturday night.
Right.
And my dad was probably in his 40s. And so we'd go to some swinging party in 1978 in St. Louis, in the suburbs. And whatever else was going on at the party, I was completely oblivious to because I was literally just locked into that television and watching those things. And I remember, and I don't know how much of this memory is sort of assisted by the reruns that have gone on and the number of times I've seen them since, but just how weird that show was.
Yeah.
And the long sketches with no laughs and
Pointless.
Just Buck Henry taking pictures of
Right.
you know, sitting under a glass table and taking pictures of Lorraine Newman and Gilda Radner.
Right.
Just the
What?
weirdest
Yeah,
shit
why is this
that would
happening?
never get on the air today.
No. Also,
but-
they would drive the car 17 miles past the joke.
Yeah, that part's still around.
Yeah. You better believe it. It's
But it was amazing to be in that studio, in that space,
Yeah.
with the pictures lined up down the wall,
Oh, boy,
down the
yeah.
walls, and the hallways, and the fact that they've been doing it for 30 some odd years, and Lauren is still there and
Yeah.
is unflappable.
Yeah.
And
You're walking
they
around
have no
the
show
loop.
on Monday, and by Saturday they do.
Yeah.
And the first time you even see any material is on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And these guys are so good at what they do and so unflappable. They just barrel through it, and they're really, really good. And the thing about the James Mason thing was,
Yes.
from read through to rehearsal to dress rehearsal, which was 2.5 hours before air, that character was Dean Martin. It was Dean Martin, and
You were going to do Dean Martin?
I was doing Dean Martin. And
Until they talked you out of it? What happened?
Well, Lauren's note was, well, it's sort of a drunk playing a drunk, and I think there's probably something funnier we can do. And I was like, you know, we go on the air like in 40 minutes. Do you want me to just come up with something else? He's like, well, yeah, I think it'd be funnier. And I'm like,
Did you feel like he was
Okay.
messing with you? Did you feel
I
like
don't-
he
to this
knows
day,
what
I
he's
don't
doing?
know. To this day, I don't know.
Because he's the ultimate puppet master.
But I had a little James Mason from back in the day, sort of in my back pocket, and I was like, well, I can maybe do that. And Bill Hader, who wrote the sketch, was like, do it. It's great. We can run it a bunch of times if you want. I was like, no, it'll be fine. He's like, all right, let's get, and you just go. And,
Yeah.
And they literally push you out of the door, the upstage door, to come down to do the monologue. There's this much space between the back wall of the studio and that door. So the first AD has her hand on your back. You can't hear anything except the drums and the horns.
Oh, God.
And just goes boish, and out you go.
That's
then
why
you don't
everyone
stop for
runs to
90
the.
minutes.
That's why everyone runs to their spot.
Oh yeah, and you're terrified. I'm going to fall into the drum kit. I'm going to trip on the thing. I'm going to miss my mark. I mean, but you just go.
Do we have that sketch queued up now that we've discussed it? If so, please roll from Saturday Night Live, the Vincent Price Halloween special, I think is what. Again, there's the clip problem. I wasn't kidding before. We can't show clips. A very nice. Nice.
Pure fear.
Yeah.
Motivated by pure fear.
That's the thing. You're stepping into that well-oiled machine, and they aren't flappable. But isn't there a sense of you'll be fine, it'll be great.
Well, yeah. Lauren's sort of famous statement is we don't go on Saturday nights because we're ready. We go on because it's 11:30, and that's kind of the prevailing attitude there. It's like,
right.
Well, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Right.
Hope the sets don't fall over, and in 90 minutes it'll be over. So
you still have your day job. This is just an opportunity to swing outside.
It is a roller coaster ride, and it's just an awesome opportunity and super fun.
Well, congratulations, because you hit the ball ridiculously deep, and everybody. I'm sure you got a lot of response from it, though, right? Just start with family and friends first of all. There had to have been a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
thrilled for you.
It is an institution, I mean,
right?
And so everybody watches it, or at least the people you want to hang out with. So
right.
It was pretty cool. I mean, you definitely got a lot of response, a lot of emails.
It's been one of the better reviewed episodes, and more talked about episodes.
Well, and it also it came right on the heels of the whole Sarah Palin insanity and all of that. So the show was riding this insane wave that it hadn't seen the likes of in years.
Those numbers.
And a sort of cultural and social relevance that hasn't really been it hasn't really been known for in a long, long time. And the fact that this whole election and the Sarah Palin of it all, and Tina doing her thing, and it was huge. And so it kind of became a hot show again, and it was great to be in that environment for that as well. That was pretty cool.
Right. Well, unbelievably cool. So have you seen scripts yet? You're almost ready to gear up.
We start shooting a week from tomorrow, but I have not seen scripts. I was looking online the other day, and
I'm sorry.
Somebody has the full breakdown of the first script. I was like, wait a minute, how am I learning about this show from a
fan online?
Mad Greek number 12 online. I'm like, wait, what? How? Who? Huh?
We start shooting a week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow.
And you haven't seen a script?
I have not.
That is fantastic. And how normal is that? 2 seasons in.
Totally normal.
Yeah.
Totally normal. I mean, we get Matt is relatively plays it relatively close to the vest anyway, and and we find out a couple of days before we start going, and it's television, so it is pretty fast paced, and you got to be on top of it, and but yeah, man, it's
also the show's audience now is so intense with their devotion that I imagine every opportunity to spoil anything and get anything online about this coming season has been almost like a parlor game for a great many people.
I think a lot of people have that, and fortunately, at least we don't shoot in New York, because New York, if you're anywhere on the street,
forget it.
Immediately there's 400 pictures online, and this is what this is, and we gotta somebody's sides.
Are you on sound stages for the most part?
Yeah, we shoot downtown LA,
right?
LA Center Studios.
And
come visit.
Yeah. You heard him.
But don't. But don't.
Yeah, seriously, don't. Yeah. I mentioned before that he's very, very funny. And keep that in mind, please, because if you visit, there are very, very large people who will stop you from entering. And so, all right, so that's the other thing. How many episodes now? It's only
13.
13 every season, which allows you half a year instead of most dramas, which allow you 3 months.
Right. It's nice.
And did they put you to work again during this off season?
Well, I did SNL, and I did a little bit on 30 Rock, and I shot a little movie called Howl about the Allen Ginsberg poem and the subsequent obscenity trial.
Tell us about that, if you would,
That
please.
was a pretty cool little thing. These 2 documentary filmmakers got together and put this script together and this movie together that kind of explores Ginsberg's life, and then how he got to where he got to when he started writing this poem, and his relationship with Kerouac and the Beats and all that other stuff. And it's him kind of figuring out the poem, walking around New York City and around various places in the country, and it's augmented with this kind of weird animation that depicts a lot of the imagery in the poem, and then it's layered into that is this trial that happened where the state of California sued City Lights bookstore for publishing what they considered to be obscenity. And so it's an interesting thing because in 1957 the case was thrown out and the guy said, this is not obscene, it's adult but it's not obscene, get over yourself.
Yeah.
And in so many ways we're still sort of dealing with these crazy puritanical issues and politicizing art and it seems that
It's why we're talking now online.
very much so, and it's why a lot of our more interesting dramas are on cable. I mean, it's
We're constantly seeking for a home that we're not going to be controlled
Right.
or yeah, it's true. It is about creative censorship that you're constantly trying to avoid at some point. So this was a movie that interests you on lots of levels. It sounds like.
it was a cool opportunity, and I got to work with some amazing people. James Franco plays Allen Ginsberg, but most of my scenes were with David Strathairn and Jeff
Nice.
Daniels and Bob Balaban.
Great people.
Treat Williams, yeah, Mary Louise Parker. It was a really fun,
Phenomenal.
fun group, and it was just like 10 days in New York. We just banged it out and shot it up in the Bronx, and
Wow, that's
super cool.
And when should we look for that?
I don't
Any
know.
idea?
I mean, it's it's very much an independent film, so
Yeah.
hopefully it will see the light of day.
I've
I'm
just
sure
asked-
it will be at one of those festivals of
Yeah,
some sort.
I've just asked the question that maybe annoys me most now. I just realized.
When's it coming out?
Right after I asked it, I went,
Yeah.
"You asshole! Why would you?"
Unless it's Iron Man 2. But
Yeah,
most of them don't
nobody
have release
knows.
dates,
No,
planned.
first of all, you shoot without distribution. You shoot
Oh, yeah.
because it's a great script, and you get the right actors lined up saying, "I can't believe this material's this good," and they jump on board, and you shoot this thing, and the director surprises you, and
Yeah.
the whole thing works, and you go, "Well, it was great. Of course, no one's going to ever see it."
Now you said you were just in New York. Did you happen to see God of Carnage by any chance?
You know, on our last night there, we were cursing the universe that we had not made every effort to see this. Crazy great, right?
Phenomenal.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels and Hope Lang.
Jeff Daniels, Hope Davis,
Hope Davis.
James Gandolfini, and
Right.
Marcia Gay Harden. It's written by the woman that wrote Art.
Oh,
which I don't
wow.
know if you saw that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, of course.
it's
Did you ever
just
do
great.
that?
Never did it. But
Have you
it's
done
great.
any theater? Much theater?
Not in
other
a while.
than college.
Yeah, college.
Right.
And a little bit when I was kicking around early in LA.
Does
but,
it interest you, the 9-month run on Broadway?
Yeah. My friend Lizzie Moss from the show just did
Right.
Speed the Plow.
Yeah,
and
we saw her in that. She was
something like
spectacular.
that. Yeah, something like that is very interesting, but it's a rough. As our friend Mr. Piven found out, it's kind of a rough.
Yeah, I'm not
rough
sure
ride.
I'd go with the transparency of mercury poisoning, but I would be suicidal after 4 months. I know it.
Yeah,
The same words in the same order.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough gig.
Yeah.
Jennifer, my girlfriend, did 13 months of Wonderful Town on Broadway. And,
Oh, wow.
If you factor in singing and dancing 8 times a week, it's a.
Yeah, Hank talks about the Spamalot run a lot, and
yeah, those guys.
in success, you're just scred.
Yeah, it really is.
know.
You think, oh, great.
Yeah, we got a hit. Oh, damn it.
Right, my knees and my back and my everything. It just it goes on you, and
Yeah.
but it does the shorter runs, sure. I mean, and there's some wonderful, obviously wonderful material out there. So it'd be nice to be able to do some of that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it for the money. I mean, that's the idea is you work in television and film to sort of support a career in the theater because you can't support
No.
it just working.
No. Well, that is the other great thing, as I was saying about your show, as an actor, that you get to only be tied up for half the year
Yeah.
and then have a life,
Right.
Which is also so unbelievably rare for a drama. And there's no table reads, right? You
Yeah,
don't.
well, we have those.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's usually lunchtime. The last day of the previous episode, we'll read the next script.
Oh, man.
Off
I
we go.
love that. Am I going to get my Twitter 5 for Mr. Hamm? Yeah? Am I looking at it and just don't see it? Is that what's happening? What I've done, John, if you don't.
Sounds filthy.
Doesn't it? The Twitter 5? Either that
Or
or.
a Motown group.
Yeah, that's right. It's a gaggle of Jews this time,
Oh.
the Twitter 5. No. Okay. What we thought we would do here is just because we get a lot of live questions, and I try to urge on this particular show that it may be my show entitled, but it's our show in terms of, the community. So I offered up this new notion. This is the first time, so bear with us, please. Twitter 5 is going to be 5 quick questions. Most of them might not be worthy of an answer, and if they're not, we'll do like a lightning round. We'll just pass. All right. At Alaeris, Alaeerys. Those letters do not go in that order. What's the matter with you people? I'm sorry for butchering your name. All right, question 1. That's not bad. Your favorite animal to hate?
Camels. God damn them. Sneaky, foul-smelling water hoarders.
I promised you Ham would bring the funny, and now it's here. Question 2. Which is worse, mimes or clowns?
Mimes.
Yes. Ding! Beer, wine, or...
Beer wine?
Yes! Everybody's favorite beer wine. Number 4, place to vacation other than Greece.
Hawaii.
Nice. Any particular island?
Hawaii.
Any particular hotel?
No. House.
Toothpaste brand. We're going to end on a weak one. Yeah.
Anything that stands on its end there.
I like that.
I think that's a very important...
The platform bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, they came up with a better way to do toothpaste.
Why do I have to squeeze?
Not only why do I have to squeeze, but gravity does the work.
No.
You don't have to shake it down to the bottom. You just, boop, there it goes. You get a nice fresh squeeze right at the top.
I like that a lot.
Don't have to roll anything up.
I like that a lot. John Grisham or John Keats? That comes from Martha S. at Martha S.
Neither.
Nice. That's your answer.
And I'll say neither. I won't say neither.
Yeah. No. I always thought neither was a little like potato. Crunchy or smooth?
Crunchy.
Nice. Theater with an ER or an RE?
This is where I'm going to show my pretension.
Do it. Do it. Commit. He commits. Favorite curse word? No, that's the other guy's show.
Lipton.
Yeah. See, I always wanted to be on that show just so I could say, Kevin, when he says, when you get to heaven and the Lord greets you or whatever, what do you want him to say? I want the Lord to say, sorry about that Lipton thing. I was having a bad day. I just kind of shit that one out. I can't thank you enough. Now, we do have, I don't know if you are a fan at all of the Flight of the Conchords.
Sure.
You don't have to be, but you know how they have their one fan, their Mel is her name, right? We have one of those.
Kristen Shaw, who was in our show, actually.
Tell us more. What did you do in the show?
Kristen Shaw was one of the switchboard operators in the pilot.
Oh, my God. That's fantastic.
Full circle.
Nice. Our Mel's name is Twitter at Martha_S, and we actually just really, on the cheesy side of things, wanted you to look right down the barrel and say happy birthday. That's all I really needed from you. What do you think?
Happy birthday, Martha.
Nicely done. Yeah. Unlike the rest of the women in the country, she got a little bit of a thing for you. All right. I'm gonna put the Larry King game to you. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds here to collect your thoughts. In that time, I'm going to thank you very much for joining us and responding immediately to my email invitation. You know, John Ackerman, Scott Ackerman. I'm so bad. I become my father every fourth thought. Scott Ackerman we're backstage at UCB Theater, which I guess you frequent.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I'm actually going there after this. I have a thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Love it there.
Oh, nice.
If you're in LA,
yeah.
go.
There you go. Race right over to the UCB Theater. So we're back in the dressing room there, and I'm explaining the show. This is before we even did the first one. And we're talking about who I would like to get on the show, and he said, Jon Hamm. I'm emailing right now. What? So that's how this whole thing kind of started.
Great.
So I thank Scott, even though I couldn't remember his first name. It's just about honesty, people. You want to toss this one out?
Sure.
All right.
Ready?
It stands between you and leaving, so
You tell me when.
fire into your camera, mister.
Walla Walla, Washington, you have a question. I have a prostate the size of a small boy's clenched fist. Go.
Yeah, people. That's how you bring it. That's how you bring it. Thank you so much.
pleasure.
I hope you had a nice chat.
Sure did. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to do something different right now. Normally, we run right into an introduction, thank yous, the introduction to the next guest. I'm just going to take this time to thank Mr. Jon Hamm for joining us, and hope you enjoyed what he had to share.